at a 5-star hotel and we're about to give you a tour. The wine here is $30 a cup, which is very expensive.
Beds in the hotel. She's just hanging out, rooting. Lucas and Henry babysat for cousin Milo several times during the trip. We were able to go to the chocolate museum in Cusco and took a 2-hour chocolate making lesson. Our host was lively and funny. We had a great time making chocolate. Before this tour, we had learned about how the Incas were advanced in math, farming, and building. The Incas were spiritual and took care of Mother Earth, Pachu Mama. Balance in nature was important to the Incas.
Woohoo!
Whee! On top of an Inca hotel.
It can hold up to 20 people.
Up to 20 people back in the day. The main attraction of the trip was visiting Machu Picchu. We took Peru Rail train riding from Ollantaytambo through the Andes Mountains. It was magical. The train ride was 1.5 hours. So I think we're gonna have an excellent day. And here we go. Get ready to go inside. Yeah, bud? Machu Picchu is an ancient Inka citadel built in the 1400s. It gained international attention in 1911 when explorer Hiram Bingham discovered the city. We arrived a day early at Machu Picchu because of the transportation strike scheduled for 2 days. There were no buses, taxis, or trains running during the strike. Many tourists could not get into Machu Picchu for their tours because of the strikes, so it wasn't that crowded for us. There are several paths you can take through Machu Picchu. We think it's a good idea to go for 2 days because there is a lot to see. The way up to the top where the path begins is steep, but not too hard. After climbing up the mountain, we walked onto a surreal view overlooking Machu Picchu. We have seen it in pictures and documentaries, but seeing it in person was an amazing experience. We spent over 2 hours exploring the ruins. Machu Picchu was lost to the world for centuries. It is well preserved for being so old. It's so incredible to see how advanced the Inca civilization was. Next, I went with Jonathan and Emily back a second day to hike Machu Picchu. It is a difficult hike for people 12 and older. There are very steep and narrow parts of the hike. It took us about 3 hours to hike it. Lucas, Henry, and Judy stayed back at the hotel with Milo, Richard, and Kay. Sometimes it's
without conquering your fears.
They had irrigation and earthquake-proof architecture. They had a purpose for the things that they built. We had train tickets back to Ollantaytambo to Cusco, but the trains did not run because of the strike. We waited around the hotel for a couple of hours to hear if the trains would run at all. Then our guide Pedro came to our hotel and told us evacuation trains were running that night to get guests back. We grabbed our bags and went to the train station. We waited for 1.5 hours to board the train, then had to take another train before getting back at 1 a.m. We eventually made it to Lake Titicaca. Our first stop was on the floating island of Ururo. There are hundreds of floating islands in Lake Titicaca that are inhabited. The people on the island fish, hunt, and mostly make their money from tourism. The island we stopped at had 6 families living on it. We were greeted by the president of the island. A president is elected once a year. The president, Jesus, gave us a presentation about the island, how it's constructed, and how they maintain it. The island floats on the roots of reeds. Dried reeds are layered on top of the roots as a floor. Reeds must be added to the floor every couple of weeks, and parts of the island must be cut because the island roots would rot and sink without adding any more. We learned about how they cook, saw their homes, tried traditional clothing, and how they do school. Also, the islands have electricity generated from solar panels.
Hey guys, comfortable seats?
Yeah.
Some reed cushion?
Our next stop was an hour and 40-minute boat ride to Takia Island. Our guide is from Amantani Island, across from Takia. Takia has 2,700 inhabitants. The president of this island greeted us when we came to the island. That is one of his jobs. The president is elected once a year at a meeting. He is not paid for the job, and the hike to the top of the island is not easy because of the altitude. Most islanders have to make the hike up to the top with heavy loads on their backs. Our guide told us about the traditions of the island. The people on Takia speak Quechua and wear traditional clothing. 5 different hats are worn by the men to represent their status. We saw and participated in a traditional dance show. We ate delicious lunch overseeing the lake, and we also saw demonstrations of how they make shampoo and soap from plants and how they weave. We took a nice walk along the island and saw sheep and families. It was a lovely day, and we are honored to get a glimpse into their lives of these islanders. Their lives are so different from our lives. The next day we said goodbye to Richard, Kay, Emily, and her family. It was a busy and exciting time while they were there. We got organized and headed to the border of Bolivia. Stay tuned for our next country, and don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button.